Giorgio Vasari, a museum in Arezzo, Italy that holds the world's largest collection of self-portraits, dating from the early 1600s until present day. This is a place full of meaning and history, along with beauty and talent. However, if you were to walk in, you would quickly start to realize something. A collection of 1,700 self-portraits, but where are the women? Out of 1,700 portraits, only 7% are by women artists. It's a thing that hasn't just been noticed in this museum, but has been repeated throughout many centuries around the world. But why is it that we barely see women artists? Could it be because they aren't as talented as men? There are female models and posers, but what about female artists themselves? So what is the truth about women artists? Is there hidden sexism in our art world? Well, behind the beauty of art, there has actually been hidden sexism without people realizing it. And you would be amazed at how much men artists have objectified women, either in paintings or in general. Take Pablo Picasso, for example. He is well known for his artwork, but did you know that he had a massive disrespect towards women? Most people who knew about this have chosen to ignore it and keep honoring his work.
Like, ooh, is that a Picasso? Say no! It was made by someone who respects women.
Many women have come together to try to put a stop to this sexist barrier. Women were getting tired of getting objectified, especially when paintings of nude women were the ones making it into museums, but not women artists themselves. This is a type of barrier that affected many women while they try to get a name for themselves. Researchers also studied almost 2 million art auction sales, and the paintings by women fetched less money than paintings by men. This is how some female artists broke barriers. Artemisia Gentileschi was an Italian Baroque painter who was abused by her own art tutor. She made a difference because the art community didn't accept women, and she was the first to be accepted. This opened an opportunity for the next female that wanted to become an artist, although she attended her tutor's prosecution, which overshadowed her achievements. Camille Claudel, who was a French sculptor, was shamed by her mother for not being born male. She attended one of the very few art schools that accepted females. All her life, she was erased from the art history until now, that there's a museum in France dedicated to her artwork. Mary Cassatt, who was an American painter and printmaker. She attended the Pennsylvania Academy of Arts, where only 20% of members were female. Throughout her life, she kept getting rejected to all art privileges that males had. But she never gave up and broke barriers because now she is well known among the art community. Alma Woodsie Thomas broke barriers by being the first African American woman to have a solo art show in the Whitney Museum. And Harriet Powers, who lived as a slave. She began quilting when she was a slave and made it all the way to the Smithsonian. Most of them were never taken seriously and were always ashamed or rejected. This was mainly because men were always superior to women. It's a great thing that these women didn't give up, and now their work has paid off. Frida Kahlo is a great example of women's art. Despite everything she has gone through, she would use art as a way to express herself. Ever since her death, her fame has continued to rise. She had a great impact during the 1970s feminist movement because she was not afraid of attacking social issues, sexual identity, and political activism. She made rights better for her as a woman and artist. That's a way she helped break barriers. She has had a great impact and is seen as a huge role model for many women and feminists around the world. The 1970s movement was an era of people that protested and fought for the equality of women along with LGBT, African, and Native American rights. Many people were involved in huge peace protests. Eventually, rights did get better for everything they fought for. A peculiar group that had a lot to do with this was the Guerrilla Girls. who were a group of anonymous feminists that used gorilla masks as a way to protect their identity. They were concerned about fighting for sexism and racism in the art world and wanted to bring equality for the art community. They brought awareness to many people in the form of billboards, books, posters, and public appearances, even going as far as embarrassing people. They also talked about how only 5% of female artwork was published in museums, and how women posters also suffered because they were told to get plastic surgery in order to look good for paintings. They had been doing this for over 30 years now, and it's sad to see how little change they've made. 35 years ago, they saw that in a set of museums, all of them had 0 to 1 women's solo art shows, and recently now they just have 1 or 2. It's sad to see how little impact they've had over 30 years.
Many people believe that this barrier is a thing of the past. Yes, they have succeeded to break most barriers, but it's still something that women artists have to deal with today. Art has always been a huge part of what humanity is. It can either tell a story or express emotion and culture. So when women aren't able to give their own perspective on things, it's just not right. Today, there are still some women that are trying to make more improvement. So we learned that there is still a sexism hidden in our world, specifically art. Maybe it's time to realize it and make a difference. Here are some ways you can help. 1. Always support women artists and the institutions exhibiting the work. 2. If you ever go to an art museum and realize that the exhibitions are unequal, feel free to do some feedback by contacting them and let them know they should show more women's artwork because it's important. And 3, educate yourself to later educate others.